What's up, world? Welcome back. I am your host, Juming Delmas, and welcome to the I'm Just Here to Listen podcast show. Joining me today is business owner and childcare provider, Janna Johnson. Hey, Janna. On this episode, we'll be discussing the hell of America's early childcare and why is it so damn hard to find affordable yet qualified childcare services for your child. So, hang tight and let's dive in. Welcome to the I'm Just Here to Listen podcast. I'm your host, Juming Delmas, and we bring you engaging conversation with experts on politics, technology, self-sufficiency, and many more. For exclusive content, extended episodes, and behind the scenes, scan our Patreon link in this video or click the link in our description below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and follow button. See you on the show. So, you want to tell us why you was late today?
I was late because my daughter starts school on Monday. Orientation was today.
Your doctor?
My daughter. Daughter? I want to say daughter? Oh, my daughter. My child.
She starts school today?
Monday.
Yeah.
And orientation was today.
Orientation was today.
Yes, for first grade.
So they were, how late were they? What'd you say?
They were only like 5 minutes late. However, after the orientation, they had like a back to school jam type thing that I wasn't prepared to stay for. But once she saw the snow cones, bounce house, I was like, I can't pull her away.
So you sacrificed our podcast
But
time.
no, I did not. The timing,
we adjusted the time for you. Technically, you were supposed to be here early.
We were
3 hours before.
Touché.
3 hours from today.
However,
From this time.
but I had to go get dressed, and I couldn't come looking any kind of way.
Yeah, no, today you look extremely nice.
Thank you.
That's right. Most days you be looking like you run a daycare center.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's rough out
I'd be
here.
like, okay, she definitely runs a
It's hard out
daycare.
here.
You have to be in workout clothes when you run in a daycare center.
Absolutely.
Because you running with the kids, in the water and babysitting.
We don't babysit.
No, sorry.
No.
What's the difference between babysitting and daycare?
Babysitters just sit and watch the baby teach
You teach what?
children,
Oh.
young.
Well, my
children.
first kiss happened at a daycare.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 5 or 6 years old. Her name was Fairy. It was Head Start. It was a really cool daycare. I got my first kiss
Oh,
at
it was
daycare.
cool.
Yeah.
They
It
let
was
y'all kiss.
it was no, the teachers didn't know this.
Okay. Okay.
We kissed behind the slides.
Oh, you been fast.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I remember that vividly.
And didn't even ask her to be his girlfriend.
Right. Because I didn't know what that
Been
was.
a problem ever since.
Yeah, been a problem ever since. So, Janna, you run a daycare
I
center.
do.
Could you tell us a little bit about your journey with the daycare? Before you start with the journey, start with the beginning. You worked a regular job, or did you jump right into owning your business?
No, I worked as a high school teacher for 2 years after college, and that was during the time when it was teacher cuts, recession kind of sort of. So they were laying off the new teachers, and I was a new teacher, taught health education, so I got cut, and my friend who was I want to say secretary or office manager at a early Head Start, she said, we have some teaching positions. And I'm like, absolutely not. Little kids? No, not my thing. But she was like, come on, try it. You might like it. And I worked there for, I want to say 3 years. And I was like, I kind of like this.
Wasn't as bad, huh?
It wasn't. And, so I started my journey.
You started this journey. How long you been in business?
13 years.
Okay. So this journey, walk us through. So you decided, hey, I'm teaching for 3 years. And then you say, I like what I'm doing. What did that transition look like from the job to you running the business?
So it wasn't my idea to open a business. It was my sister's idea.
Not surprising.
So she got jokes. So she wanted to quit her job, and she enjoyed kids, like always, kept kids. And she was like, let's start a at-home daycare. And I'm like, okay.
At your house?
At my parents' home.
At y'all mama house?
My mother and father's
Did
home.
y'all discuss this with your parents?
We did, and they were okay with it.
Mm.
They had extra rooms, that they weren't utilizing, so they was like, yeah, come on. So the first year, I was scared. My sister quit her job, and I was like, no, I need my income. And so she stayed home and kept a few children. And we were waiting to get on the subsidy programs and all the other programs. So I kept working, and I was going to keep working. And it was funny because the next year, I got fired from my job. So I said that was nothing but God, because I would have kept working. And I'm getting fired. I've never gotten fired from a job. I'm getting fired. It was, but
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, that was meant to be. And the next month we were at home.
And so you got fired, and you was like, I already started this business already a year in, so I might as well go 100% hard. Most that's a saying that like most people who are starting a business, like there's this fear of quitting your job.
Yep.
Yours was a little different. You got fired, so you didn't have a choice.
Well, I didn't know I was gonna get fired.
I don't think most people know when they're gonna get fired.
I honestly think they fired me because they knew I was starting a business, and some of the kids were coming with me.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it was summertime, so the school was closing during the summer.
Right.
So the kids, I told them, well, I can, and so I think that's why. But I owe that program a lot. It taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things I do now in my business, I took from there. So no hard feelings or whatever. I know the CEO. The CEO now is a great friend, and we talk all the time. And you know,
so you would agree that you're rich?
I will be.
Okay, let's hang on. I'm going to go down a list of cars, and I want you to name the one that you have.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I got 4 here.
Okay.
Toyota, Nissan.
One.
We talking about current.
Okay, current.
Only currents.
Okay, current.
Toyota,
No.
Nissan,
No.
Honda,
No.
Beamer,
No.
Benz.
I have a Benz. That doesn't mean I'm rich.
Okay, I want to name 2 other things. All right, either A or B.
Okay.
Do you A, rent, or do you B, own?
Own what?
A home.
I own a home. What?
Next question.
What?
How much money do you have in your bank account?
Jimmy.
All right, move on.
Enough.
My goodness.
Enough. Give me $1.
I got to borrow money from you. Childcare is where it's at if you want to run a business. That's a very lucrative business because people will forever make babies.
If
right?
you run it right.
If you run it right.
You run it right.
Right.
Yes.
I don't even know what that means.
That's what any business you have to, run a business the correct way.
So for most people, it starts with childcare. Like we all at some point went through some form of childcare. Do you believe childcares do you think that childcare today is preparing kids like for public school and college?
Absolutely.
In your opinion?
Absolutely.
How so?
We are
not you, but just in general, childcare.
In general, childcare. If they are at the correct program.
What does that mean? What program?
Because you have programs that babysit and don't take their job seriously, and just parents drop them off and you're a babysitter, just make sure they're okay until I get back. And then you have programs like my program where we actually teach. We have curriculum. They know how I feel about these children learning every day and making sure they're getting what they need for when they go to kindergarten. So you have different programs, and I can say some programs don't teach.
So teaching. So outside of teaching, what do you think that parents should look for in daycare centers outside of just teaching children? But what other things do you think that a parent should look for?
It should be a home atmosphere. Parents want to feel like they can go in and be able to talk to the teachers about anything. Like they feel like family. They want to feel included. Also, safety. You want to make sure your children are in a safe environment.
Yeah, because, you know, like with these mass shootings that's going on around our country, one of the biggest fear for parents, well, even just in public school, but now, you know, daycares as well, but like this mass shooting. So how do you ensure like safety at your daycare, for example?
We, of course, have a lock system where the door's supposed to be closed and locked at all times.
Except when I'm there.
But that's because you leave the door open when you're getting stuff out of the door.
So you would agree that I'm irresponsible?
You're the problem. You know, so we try to have someone in the hallway at all times and monitor. We have a safety system, a camera. And when the door, you know, is open, it does, you know, make the sound that the door is opening. And we do prep our children and tell them, you know, you do not open this door. You know, so the children know they do not open the door. Even if the doorbell rings, even if it's your mother, your whoever, do not open or touch this door.
All right, don't name drop. Is there any bad daycare centers you could think of? Don't give the name, but like give an experience that you witnessed from a daycare center or heard about.
Bad.
Like what would be considered a not so good daycare type of environment?
Unfortunately, and in our area years ago, not recently, there have been children that have passed away in schools.
Passed away?
Yeah, it could have been from, you know, not properly being monitored. You know, one school where the children got out the door and they were walking up the street and they were like 1 or 2. And this was not too far from where we're located. Yeah, so we heard about that as well. So that goes back to monitoring. It happens, and it, you know, unfortunately happens.
So unfortunately, in childcare, some businesses or individuals look at this more as a job. I mean, how pivotal.
They look at it as money, and a lot of people when they do ask me, well, I want to start a daycare, and I say, why? You know, well, I know it's a lot of money in it. That's the only reason. You know, and you do have a lot of business people that start schools, and I think that's great because they have the business mindset to know how it operates. But you also, I think, too, need to have a passion, especially for working with children. It's a lot every single day. You want to have the right staff that also have the passion.
Right.
Because if they're not into it, they're going to come to work just to get a check.
Right.
And this is not the job to come just get a check.
So what would be the why for a business in daycare? What would be the why?
The why?
Somebody wouldn't want to run a daycare. What, in your opinion, if somebody asked you, say, hey, I want to run a daycare, you said why, what would you look for from somebody who says why they want to run a daycare?
The why would be they have a passion for teaching, you know, and for teaching and have a heart for little people. You know, it's different than elementary, it's different than middle, it's different than high school. So these are babies that we have every single day that we're responsible for. And so you really have to have a passion for not only the kids, your staff. I love my staff. I have a passion for my staff and teaching them every day as well. They look up to me.
What would you say the average time that your staff stays with your company, like an average time? Like, how long does a staff member usually stay with you on average?
It depends.
If you gave me just an average.
So 5 to 6 years. My oldest is 7. She's been with me for 7 years.
The staff member?
Yes.
Okay. She's 7? Wow.
I'm sorry. She started with me 7 years ago. Have some that have been there for 6 years. Some that have been there for 2 years. So my college students usually, you know, they stay as long as they're in college, and then, you know, they venture off. They venture out, which I love.
Right. What would you give? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who wants to open a daycare center but don't really know where to start? You think they should get fired first and then get started?
No, I think they should find them. I mean, if it happens like that, but I think they should find a mentor. Go observe, go shadow someone, and just the day-to-day operations. Ask questions. Find someone like myself. I've mentored quite a few people that have open schools, and we're, you know, great friends and communicate almost every day. You
think they're just your friend because you're rich?
No.
What kind of vehicle do you drive?
I'm not rich yet. Anybody can drive a Benz. Yes, they can. Absolutely.
Anybody cannot drive a Benz. What if they don't have a license?
They can still drive one illegally, but they can still drive one.
What if they can't reach the pedal?
They can get a stool to sit up on if they're of age to drive.
Mm-hmm. So it still can't.
Yeah.
Anybody can.
Yeah.
Anybody can.
Financially, they can.
If
you budget the right way, you can.
I got a 12-year-old.
I have a 6-year-old
who couldn't drive a Benz. He can't afford a Benz. I can't afford a Benz.
Yet.
But it's coming.
Yeah, I had to get to the yet.
Yeah, to the yet. Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. I drive a 97 Ford Ranger.
And that's okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It works. It works. It drives.
Now.
Whatever.
Do you know the government regulations of childcare and some of the pros and cons of these regulations?
It's a lot.
Just give me a few that you think that are pivotal on some of these regulations, and some that you may not agree with, or some that you do think that should be in place.
I don't think I agree with any of it because I think they're in place for a reason. But the main one is health and safety to me. They do change often with the health and safety regulations, but they are needed. One was, even though we had to spend money for the transportation, we had to get the safety system and what do they call the alarm system in all of our vehicles for transportation. That was DCF regulation. So that happened because unfortunately, people were leaving the kids in the vans, for transportation. Again, that goes back to
daycare centers, leaving children in the van.
Mm-hmm. So they put in place, I want to say about 2 years ago, where we had to have a safety system in the vehicle. Yeah.
What's the safety system in the vehicle? What is the regulation?
The alarm. So I know with my system, the alarm goes off. My system, you have to press a button. So you have to walk through the van. You have 30 seconds. So you have to go around because it's in the back of the van. That means you have to check the van. So you're walking through the van, and in 30 seconds, if you don't press the button, it'll go off, and the alarm will just beep, beep, beep. So, yeah.
No, so make sure you go back and get them kids.
Absolutely. Well, the point of it is for you to walk through the van, to turn the system on.
And you say you don't like this?
No, I love that.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely great. We was on one of the news stations, so they came to my school and did a story on the transportation and, yeah.
Very cool. It also on the Florida Department of Children and Families, while child care alarms for transportation are required, you also have to do regular physical and visual sweeps of the vehicle and maintain a log of it.
Every day.
You guys have to do that every day?
If you're driving, if you're picking up, which we did, we don't do transportation anymore, but if we did, the driver, once the kids get to the location, you have to do a sweep, and then the second person would come do a sweep as well. And then you have to log, and check, make sure you check the kids to make sure they're wherever you dropped them off or if you bring them to the school. So we had to do a sweep. Yep.
So is there a regulation that you don't agree with?
I don't agree with childcare. I can't. No.
There's not one that what about one that you would change at least?
Oh gosh, you make me think about all these regulations that we have every day.
Yeah, like is there one that you would change that you think could be implemented better?
For Florida, I think our ratios. Georgia will have a different ratio than we do. So we have like infants 1 to 4. Georgia may have 1 to 6. I think we can just by a little bit increase the ratio. Not by a lot, but just a little bit.
What would be the benefit of that?
But then again, I get it. Having a certain amount of children to students.
Yeah.
I think the benefit would be, one, financially you might not have as many staff if you have a larger ratio. However, I like having extra staff there, but some places one might can't afford to have the extra staff. So that 1 to 6 or that 1 to 10 might make a difference in their payroll. But then again, with the increase of numbers, you can increase your number of children so you can have that extra staff. But that's just a Florida thing right now. But then again, I know some people in Georgia like, no, we like y'all ratio better because it's less children, less children to staff.
So with these regulations, do you think it affects the quality and accessibility of childcare?
I think it makes the quality better because it holds schools that aren't holding themselves accountable for what they aren't doing. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of the policies that they're putting in place are to make schools better that are babysitting. So now they have to follow these guidelines now more, especially if you're in a subsidy program. Of course, everyone is under DCF. So, making sure you're getting your in-service hours, adding these extra in-service courses, for teachers to keep up with what's new. Of course, things change every day, every year. So, yeah.
Do you think, is there any regulations that say that daycare centers have to teach? Is there any regulations on that at all?
They say that they have to teach.
Correct.
We have to have curriculums. So every school should have a curriculum that they're following. However, you will know if they're teaching, and you don't really know if they're using that curriculum. You get what I'm saying? So you can say, yes, this is the guideline, or this is the policy, so you have to teach this.
How do you think that daycare should handle children who may not be ready for public schools?
Who may not be ready for public schools?
Yeah. Don't you guys have children that are kind of you're working with them, especially since you're doing the education, you kind of know, all right, this kid may not necessarily be.
So that's where early intervention come in. So you kind of know children that might be a little delayed before 3. So that's where early intervention come in, when you communicate with the parents. We observe, because we can't diagnose, but we observed, let's reach out to some programs that may do assessments and testing, and let's see what they say, or the doctor see what they say. Because again, we can't diagnose. We're not doctors, but we observe. Right. And so, and being in childcare so long, you kind of know, oh yeah, our baby right here might be just a little delayed in certain areas. So let's go ahead and contact the parents. Some parents might not take it so well, but in the end, we still want to make sure we're doing our part to say, hey mom, hey dad, let's have a conversation. Let's see what the doctor says. Let's see what the testing center, or refer them to different therapists, or occupational therapists, or behavior, speech, and let's see what they say. So early intervention definitely goes a long way. So by the time they get to our VPK program, when they're getting ready to age out, we would have gotten the extra assistance, to help whatever the delay may be, so that way we can do our part in our program. And then again, some students may have to leave to go to programs that specialize in certain, areas, disabilities, or children that are delayed. So we can only do what we can do. Right. But we only have a portion of what we can do, but it's also parents' responsibility too.
I was just going to say,
are we giving, we're sending, homework home, or lessons home, or family activities to do at home to assist as well. It's only so much that we can do. So it's also the families and the parents' responsibility to make sure little Johnny might need extra reading at home. Are you assisting with the reading, or are you assisting with the writing? So unfortunately, you kind of know the kids that are getting the extra help at home, and then the ones that aren't.
How do you deal with parents like that, who are not necessarily doing their job at home? I know that's a very difficult thing, not just for daycares, but for public schools as well.
Yeah.
How does that?
For the teachers, it can be frustrating, because this child wants to, but that extra help at home helps. But when mom or families or whatever, for whatever reason, they might be working late, sister and brother might be taking care of them during that time. So the parents honestly might not have, unfortunately, the time to assist. You can only continue to communicate with the parents and, again, do what we can do to make sure they're getting what they need.
And the longevity of that is detrimental.
It is.
Because you grow up with, there's children who grow up without understanding how to study.
Yep.
Not understanding the importance of academics, but it's because, parents, it's hard. You work. Some of them probably work 2 jobs. Some of them, I can probably assure you that the majority of them are probably single parents.
That too. And
you're probably dealing, and your demographic of clients are primarily Black.
Yeah.
So, so there is this, but it shows in public schools as well. There's the decline in the Black community in education. So that's why I started with, it starts with daycare centers.
It does.
It starts here. And then, how do you get them from here to at least get them prepared? I think you're not just preparing the child, but you're also trying to prepare the parent.
Right.
Like, what kind of advice could you give a parent who's working 2 or 3 jobs, who may not have the time to devote to what they want with their child, even though it's important?
It is.
And what's crazy, and some of it could be also because the parent may not know some of the materials themselves and may not know how to assist.
ABCs and 1, 2, 3s is not that hard.
True.
And colors, it's not that hard.
Our 12-year-olds still having problems.
You have to make time. I have a busy schedule as well. Everybody knows that, but I still have to make time for my child at the end of the day. And I get it. I'm a single parent. I have a business and 2 other side businesses, not businesses, but side, jobs, hustles, whatever that I do as well. But I still have to sit down with my child and check homework and make sure, I don't care how tired we are, but I have to have that mindset knowing that my child needs my extra assistance at home too.
How much time do you think that a parent should devote a day?
A day, even if it's 30, 45 minutes, it makes a difference. Even 10, 15 minutes makes a difference. Even if it's just, let's read the story before we go to bed. Simple as that.
It can make all the difference in the world. It can
make a difference. In the morning on the way to school, turn off the morning shows and, hey, let's say our ABCs and count to 10 before we get to school. Little things, and it helps. It is little bitty things. It doesn't have to be we're sitting at home for an hour doing homework. These are preschoolers. They don't want to sit down for an hour. They don't sit down for an hour for us. 15 minutes makes a difference.
Yeah,
a little difference.
I'm not too well with teaching at home either, and
most parents are not.
And it's just because you just get so bombarded with so many other things that's happening.
Yeah.
But you be ready to tear their ass up though.
Which is true.
I will devote time to give an ass whooping before I devote time to give. But and it's like but I'm a father, so my thing is I'm teaching how to work and how to discipline yourself. Like, that's my focus, and I think that's why it's so important to have 2 parents in the household, because you need that nurturer, that one the mom who's going to sit down, walk with the kid, the process of schooling and things of that nature, and the father's there to try to teach them discipline and what work is about and etc. So, like, I will say, like, when it comes to work, my son knows how to work. He works his ass off. Like, but you talking education, it's like speaking Chinese.
Oh my
But that's where tutors come in, and that's where after school programs come in, and after school meetings, sitting with the teachers or there are a lot of that's the thing. There are so many resources for parents to not have excuses of why the kids aren't getting the extra.
Some people can't afford tutoring.
It's free resources out here. It is.
What resources?
Some schools.
Like, where can people look for free resources for like tutoring?
Some school, Boys and Girls Club. You have whatever, depending on your demographics in the areas. They might have, I know my daughter's schools, they have not free, but it's like reduced after school care. And some teachers, some programs have Saturday programs where okay, you don't have work today. It's a Saturday. The families can come to the schools and we're going to do some activities together. But that's also on the school if they want to take that extra time, and it's also the parents if they want to go. So it's resources. You just have to take the time. Everybody's on their phone all day anyway. Mm-hmm. Let's find some after school programs, some free after school programs, some free tutoring. College students, high school students that just want, a little extra, a little extra money, a little extra job. I need someone to take my child after school, but I need them to have this homework done and this homework done. So by the time you get home, I love you. Let's read. Let's go to bed. I get it.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's just prioritizing.
That's all. People make time for what they want to make time for.
Correct. Like this podcast that you was late for.
I was on. I was here before 12:30.
So you're supposed to be here at 20 minutes early. 20 minutes before you're supposed to be here.
I was at the school with my daughter.
Right. See, you're a very involved parent, so I can't be upset with that. Mm-hmm. You're very involved. That's the very reason why you're here. And here I am. It's like, hey, we not worried about the orientation right now. They need to be here at the podcast. Because, you did right. You did right. You showed them that I'm going to be late to this podcast to make sure my daughter.
I was planning on being on time. Mm-hmm. I was. Mm-hmm. You know me already, so you know.
There's never a time you have ever been on time.
Not you putting her out.
Yeah, ever.
Unless you come to the school, right? And I'm there.
Yeah, you're there on time.
I'm there because I'm already there.
But when we went to the skate world, we all supposed to go skating at a certain time, and it just wasn't there.
So when you're getting kids together, like herding, cats or whatever, it's a lot.
Yeah, when we do you guys videos and we say, hey, can we just get everybody in a circle? That's a 30-minute
absolutely
kind of ordeal it takes to get those kids in one full
You can
circle.
never go by time.
And it's still never a circle. It's like an oval. Sometimes it turns into a box.
Who knows? You never go off a schedule with little children.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get thrown off.
So it's not your fault that you're late. It's always the kids.
It's other people's.
I would agree with that.
Thank you so much.
I'm late. I was late today because of my kid.
And it happens, Yeah. Children make you late.
Yeah.
Duh.
So don't have kids. I agree.
Didn't say that.
Now, so shifting gears a little bit. So there have been several high-profile cases of neglect and abuse in child care centers. What, as a parent, that's like a parent's biggest fear. Like when they're looking at a child care center, they're looking for daycare centers, and they're gonna judge a daycare when they walk in. The one thing that will set any parent over is if they found out that their child was physically abused or being neglected in a daycare center. How do you handle situations like that?
How do I handle situations? Thank God I never had that situation happen. As a parent or as an owner, what are you asking me? How do I handle a situation like that?
Like, okay, let's start with the parent. Let's just say you're, as a parent, from a parent's point of view, you found out your child was getting neglected or abused. What would that look like for you as a parent?
Ooh,
what? Let's not smile like that. I don't, I don't like that. Hey, you sit down. You better not tell your mom.
Oh my goodness.
So no, I'm not a rowdy person, but I will need to pull the owner or the director, the owner to the side to ask what's going on, why is this happening, and if it's happening, that means it's been happening, not just to my child, but to other children at that. So unfortunately, we're going to file a DCF report because I don't want this to happen to my child or other children because this is not why y'all are here. If the child is being disobedient or not listening, their children, so they're not going to. That's the teacher's responsibility to figure out how to get that child to listen, or classroom management, what's going on in the classroom where the children are acting out. And I always tell my teachers that. So we're going to have a conversation with that. I will be very upset. I can't say what I really want to do.
Yeah, you can on this podcast. You can. I got a question though. So let's say in the situation where the daycare has no cameras, right? And the daycare said, well, your child fell. I mean, when, as a parent, and something happens and your child has some type of bruise or cut or something, but there's no documentation to show how the child has this.
We were asking questions. Hopefully the child can talk.
The child can talk.
Hopefully the child can talk. If the child can talk, I'm asking the child, but what happened? Mm-hmm. And if the child says a totally different story, and I'm going to ask the child again, because, kids like to change their story. And if the story is consistent, then we have a problem. And that's a problem if the center doesn't have cameras.
Right. Because
the cameras can make or break a program and or save a teacher from allegations, right. Because children make up stuff. They do. They make up stuff. But if you have the camera to say, nope, I didn't do that, let's go run the cameras back. But then you have cameras to say, you did hit that child.
But that's going to be a very hard argument because you have a child, it's child versus
I agree.
Professional. So how does a parent handle that situation?
Take their child out if they do not feel safe, especially if it's on more than one occasion. Okay, my child is falling a lot. What's going on? Then I would just take my child out.
Dang, I feel like the school, something should happen to the school in a situation like that.
And there's no
way of proving it.
Way to prove it. And if the teachers aren't being honest and the director isn't being honest to save face, then that's a problem. That's the problem. Your
child gets abused, the school gets away with it.
And it will still be reported. That's the only thing. It can still be reported.
Reported to who?
DCF.
Oh, okay.
You can still report it to DCF, absolutely. But you don't have a way to prove it, which is why a lot of parents do ask, do you have cameras? I would not send my child anywhere that doesn't have cameras. No. Can't do it.
Even if they're 5-star daycare?
I would still fight. Things happen at 5-star businesses all the time.
Facts.
So I would definitely feel more comfortable knowing that a program has cameras. I know for a fact it can save a teacher from getting in trouble because I have that camera to show that that's not true what that parent said. I have it on camera. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I understand.
And now this other one happens too. This is very sensitive, but like sexual.
That too. Yep.
Assaults on children with teachers and things from teachers and things like that.
That too. And unfortunately you have kids that things happen at home and they don't know how to express themselves and say that such and such is doing this, so they'll name a teacher. It happened. It has happened. Mm-hmm. And I also have cameras that say this did not happen here. So once they actually sit down and talk to the child, it's happening at home. But because they're closer to the people at the school, I'm going to say this teacher did it or this child did it because that's who's in my area at the time.
What kind of things should a parent be looking for if a child is, just in your opinion, if a child is being like sexually assaulted at a daycare center? What kind of things should a child be looking for?
Watch the child actions. And those some children, they don't want to leave their parents when they come in and out, so they might cry. That's normal for the kids to cry. But if a child is coming into a school and they are irate and like, I am not going to here and kicking and screaming and falling, to me that's a red flag. It's a difference. If it's a difference to me because I've been doing this for so long, than a child going in, I want to stay with mommy for the day, then a child is acting out because they do not want to be there. And that could be at home too. And we look at that too when a child is being picked up. Mm-hmm. If a child is being picked up and they're just irate, screaming, kicking, and climbing, and I am not going with this person because it has happened before, something might not. And I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying all the time because kids, they have emotions. But sometimes wetting the bed, acting out, that can be at school, that could be at a daycare or at home. Just the child's behavior. Yeah. And I tell all my teachers all the time, when the children come in the door, make sure you observe them. Make sure you're looking at them. It could be a cut on them, a bite mark, a bug mark. We're calling the parents, say, Mom, such and such came in with the bruise on their arm or a bite mark, did something happen at home? Because we don't want them to say, oh, this happened at school. No. So my teachers know when the child come in, we're observing them, we're looking, we're making sure we're observing their behavior. And if something gets kind of off, hey, such and such okay, they're not feeling well, they came in, and we take notes. But we're going to call that parent early in the morning because we don't want things to happen and say, well, that happened at here. No, ma'am, that happened. Nope, they had that at 7 o'clock this morning when they first came in the building. So, observe, monitor.
So what do you do if a parent, if you find out that a parent is abusing a child at home?
Yeah.
DCF automatically.
You guys
I'm on the phone.
You have to. Are you regulated?
We are mandated reporters. That's a felony for us. If we know something and we do not report it, that's our ass. That's us. So, my teachers, they'll come to me, Miss Janna, we're going to make a phone call. I've had to make DCF phone calls.
Do you call the parent first or do you
call
DCF?
DCF?
Got you.
I'm calling DCF. And, the parents will call back and I say, hey, I'm sorry. I have to do my job at the end of the day.
So what happens if a daycare does not disclose, if you guys choose not to disclose it, what will happen to the daycare?
Choose not to disclose a abuse case?
Yeah.
Again, the school can be, or the school or the teachers that know about it, they can be in trouble. That's a felony. If we know
so they
something,
can go to jail for this.
Absolutely. And I think I want to say it's 5 years.
Up to 5 years, we can double check that.
I want to say it's 5 years, 3 to 5
in
years.
Prison?
If I'm not mistaken, it's a felony. We signed that mandated reporter form when you start working.
So you don't have no choice but to do it.
We are mandated reporters.
I bet that's very hard, especially if you like the parents.
It is, and unfortunately, we're looking out for these kids, these babies that can't defend themselves or can't talk or can't express themselves. So we have to do it. We have to do it at the end of the day. Mom, I'm sorry, but
right.
And we had a parent, call and say, well, you all, we had to do our job. Please understand. And we let DCF handle it from there. But
yeah, it's not. If you guys don't do it, it's a felony. You go to jail. So you don't have no choice. But
if something is happening and we knew about it, we are sending this child home every day to be abused, and we aren't doing anything. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. You can face up to 5 years in prison, 5 years of probation, and a $5,000 fine. 555.
And I'll go to all them kids. High five.
Right.
What are how do you handle misconceptions? Because somebody might be like, oh, that's an all black daycare. I don't know if I want to go there. Or that daycare is on the south side of the hood. There's just this misconception that because it's in a bad area or it's an all black daycare or there's an all white daycare, it's not a good daycare.
Right.
What are your thoughts behind that?
Unfortunately, you can't change people's thoughts, but you can only show them, really. So I just make sure.
How do you show them if they're not coming?
Podcasts and commercials and videos. Word of mouth is the best. That's all you really can do, unfortunately. People, they come and they're like, oh, this is nice in here. I know, but I, hold my school to a standard of how it looks and smells and, certain things. So you can't really do anything about people's misconception.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Google reviews also play a big role in it.
That too.
Yeah.
Google reviews, sometimes people like to say untrue things as well.
Right.
But
if you have more positives than bad,
right.
Because you're in business, you're never going to please everybody.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're gonna have some bad apples in the Google review, but it's is most of your Google reviews positive?
Right.
If I'm at a daycare center, and there's the highest is a 5-star rating, what would before you take your child to a daycare, what does the daycare have to be at in your opinion for you?
My opinion?
What is that number got to be at between?
Sometimes I'm worried when it's straight 5 stars. I like a little point in there because I feel like that's like a true, honest review. Yeah.
That didn't give us an answer.
If I'm looking at 13 reviews that are straight 5 stars, I'm a little wary of it.
Okay. So what about other things?
So if it's like a 4.6 or 4.8 with more reviews, I'm more trusting of that.
Okay. So, and I think most people are kind of look at those kind of things too, between that 4.6, I would say 4.5 for me and higher. Yeah. I would be like, I'm like, okay, this seems like a good, decent daycare to attend. So, I mean, what is your thoughts on Google reviews? Because I know you say sometimes there's bad, sometimes there's good, but as a daycare, you can't please everybody, and some people will be upset if you raise your price, say all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Things. What does that look like?
Well, with Google reviews, they help. You know, I guess because some people. It depends on the person because some people don't look at Google reviews. They go by, Miss Sarah said this is a good school and I'm bringing my baby here and I heard good things about you.
Word of mouth.
We had a parent the other day came and said, I went to your PPK graduation and I wanted my baby to come here. So
yeah,
to me, it has always been word of mouth. The word of mouth has kept my school functioning for 13 years, but I get the time we're moving into social media and everything that Google reviews are, for some people who may be out of town and they're, they look online and they see the Google reviews. So,
I mean, we are in a digital age now because
Yeah.
people want to now see a brand's personality online. They want to see those kind of activities. They want to see what's happening in schools. And a lot of people don't want to feel like they're sending their child to daycare just to sit around and not do anything. Yeah, because it does. What kind of activities would you say what kind of activities do you say that a daycare should incorporate outside of just education to make sure that children are getting their, getting their exercise in or their physical education in?
Outside time. You know what? Some people do not like to go outside. That's what you're asking me as far as their physical development and growth. Some teachers, especially the older teachers, do not like outside time. I'm like, they have to go outside. They have to get this energy out. They have to run around. Let these babies go be free for their 20, 30 minutes. I know it's hot. I know it's maybe cold, and we get it where they can't. But, if you're going to stay inside, we have the yoga videos. We'll put on the yoga videos for the kids. Just let them stretch, and turn the lights off. Just try to incorporate some different movement in the classroom. Turn on the music and let them dance, jump up and down. We have some schools offer dance classes, karate, and some other activities to come. They bring into the
incorporating
program. extracurricular activities
into the schools. But what extracurricular activities can do with a daycare? It also helps a child identify what they may want to do in life.
Right.
Like having maybe the fire department coming into a daycare, or maybe having like different shows and things like that. I'm you guys' cameraman. When I come on there, they like the cameraman.
Yeah.
So that somebody is looking at
they're looking.
I want to do something like that. So I think incorporating different type of extracurricular activities, dancing. I think one of your students said that she wanted to be a cheerleader.
Yeah.
When she grew up, she was 4. I said, this is great. You want to cheerlead?
Yeah, they have professional cheerleaders. Yeah.
I wanted to be a cheerleader.
You can still be one. Like, what do you mean?
Nah, my body ain't fit for it.
Okay.
Yeah, the way my bones are set up, I didn't.
Whatever.
I didn't.
They have professional cheerleaders. Yeah, you can lift.
Yeah, they have positions for everyone.
You can pass out water. What do you mean? I don't know.
Why would I want to pass out water?
I don't know.
That's not. That's not doing cheerleading.
It's something.
Oh, what's another good one you guys can incorporate is like basketball, because you guys had a lot of basketball players who want to play basketball. Like a lot of your students want to play basketball.
And you know what? That's why I got the basketball hoop for the boys, because they want to play basketball, and they love it. So we got the basketball hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that having those extracurricular activities, because parents are typically at work, and it's just kind of hard to send a child to a daycare knowing they're just sitting there watching TV all day
Absolutely
or whatever
not.
the case is. It just doesn't feel like it's enough activity going on in the daycare. How do you guys handle situations where there's like a custody battle going on?
Oh my goodness.
There's like, you can't have one parent come pick up another child. I mean, what does that typically look
headache.
like? Yeah.
It's a headache, but it happens, unfortunately. And unfortunately for the child, they have to be in the middle of it. So we want to stay out of it as best as possible, but sometimes we cannot. However, in a situation, say mom signs up the child, dad's not on the forms, but dad is involved, and dad has the papers to say I can see my child. We have to go by those documents. If they're court-ordered documents, we have to go by those court-ordered documents.
What if they're not court-ordered documents?
Then if they're not court-ordered and mom doesn't have, or dad doesn't have the other parent on their documents, we don't know who that person is. They can say I'm dad, but you're not on this paperwork. And so until the guardian, the mom, dad, or her grandmother fill out this form and put you down, emergency contact, or put these people on this list, if you're not on this list, we cannot allow you to come pick up this child, to come see this child. We need something. We need something in hand in writing to say, I'm mom, I'm dad, I'm grandmother, I'm coming to pick this child up, or I'm coming, to see this child. If not, then I don't know who you are.
So let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that, two parents started at your daycare. Mm-hmm. Both parents separated. They split. They're no longer together. There is no documents.
And they're still on both of them are still in that paperwork?
Only one. Maybe one's been on there the whole time. And she just never put dad on there, or maybe just put mom on there. But, typically, how does that work in that situation?
So if dad, so dad or mom have always picked the child up, they have to be on the documents. So it's not we were together, we're no longer together, but he was never on the documents to pick up the child. The parent, in order for them to pick up the child, have to be on the paperwork. Mm-hmm. So,
So they have to be on the paperwork.
They have to be on the paperwork.
If you know it's the father or the
Absolutely.
mother?
If their dad is not on that paperwork, that child is not going with dad, because we don't know who that person is.
So what if mom wants to remove dad off the paperwork?
Unless you have documentation that said dad can no longer pick up that child. That person has been picking up that child for a year, and you come to scratch that person off
because you're mad.
We need something, because dad has been there. Unless if something happened, we need to know that something has happened. Please give us some documentation to say something has happened.
So outside of that documentation that says that dad can't pick up the child, he can still pick it up even if...
Right, because dad's been picking up the child. So unless we know something is wrong, or something has happened, or you all are in a custody battle and what is it called? A domestic dispute, and you have, what is it called when somebody can't come near somebody? Restraining order. Yeah. Like, we need some kind of documentation, and because we had situations where, nope, he can't come in where I'm at, or she can't come in where I'm at. Don't put us in the middle of it. Please give us something to say. And dad might say, this is my documentation saying I can see my child.
Can't do nothing about it.
You can't do anything about it. Yeah. You can't do anything about it.
I mean, it's just hard to kind of stay out of situations that. And then sometimes people are going to get rowdy with their kid. This is my child.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you do when somebody come in there demanding that they take their kid? I mean, you can call the cops, but the cops may not come fast enough.
I can call the cops, but if it's where they're irate, and we fear for the children and our safety, the cops will come. We haven't had to do that, thank goodness, but we will call the cops. I don't mind. If you're irate, and we have the other children and these staff here, you're irate, we're going to call the cops on you. So you might want to leave. Yeah. So we try to stay away from the whole mom, dad fussing, arguing. And if it gets to the point where it's too much, I'm sorry, but you might have to remove your child, because this is too much for us.
Right.
We should not have to be in the middle of disagreement. Unfortunately, we don't want to do that for the child that has probably been with us and comfortable. But you can't come here arguing, fighting every day, or in the parking lot arguing. It's just too much.
What's the longest time a child's been at your daycare?
Well, I have a family that's been with me for 13 years. Their children came through my program.
From the beginning?
From the beginning, yep. My 13-year-old, she was still there this summer. I said, it's time for you to get a summer job.
Yeah, I know.
But their last child just graduated VPK this summer.
Oh wow!
I mean,
still
this fall.
keep in contact with like the children who move on?
Most of them have siblings there, but we'll see them, you know, in public, or they're you know, on our social media pages, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Here's my final question. So, how has the COVID-19 impacted your daycare services? Has it impacted you guys? What did that look like during COVID when parents couldn't bring their kids to daycare?
So we did start with like maybe 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and then when it got to the point where it was really bad, we did close for a month and a half. But by that time, parents had stopped bringing their children, so we went from literally max capacity to 30 kids. You know, so you know, for the safety of the staff, of course, the children, the families, we closed for a month and a half. Did not want to, but at that point, everybody was scared, you know, because that's when people are, of course, dying, and, you know, every day it was just a lot going on. So we did close for a month and a half. We did keep in contact with our families, you know, let them know weekly, you know, we're going to open up as soon as possible. But we, you know, the teachers still kept in contact. We sent homework, you know, via email, via text message, to stay in contact with the kids. We did not have many families that did not return, maybe 2 or 3, because they were essential workers. They, you know, so they had to go to work, so the kids had to go somewhere. But financially, honestly, it was great.
Huh?
And I'm going to say that because even though we were closed, the state did a very good job of making sure financially we were still receiving our funds.
Oh.
So we were still receiving our funding. We were getting grants. So it was, you know, I was still able, my teachers did not miss a paycheck that entire time that we were closed. And I know some businesses suffered because teachers and people did not come back to work. All of my staff came back to work and they stayed. So I can say since then, we were maxed out, or as far as over capacity. We haven't been able to reach that since, like that max, like we have to stop taking kids. So that's the only thing that I'm noticing, that, okay, we have not gotten back to that maxed out, you know, after school. Like the other classrooms are always full, but that it's still, you know, haven't been that.
Still recovering.
We're still a little bit kind of recovering.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I was able to, funding was still coming in, and teachers were able, that was my main thing, making sure my teachers got paid.
Yeah.
And making sure my parents, you were able to return. But when we opened, we still did not have all of our families return, because they were still like, nope, we're going to keep them home. They're going to stay grandma.
Well, what happened was a lot of them found at-home jobs.
At-home jobs, yeah.
Because the rise of working remotely just skyrocketed.
Yeah,
so they just kept their kid home.
Those kids are right back.
Right.
Right back at school.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
But even still, though, when you think about work at home, you working from home, people are like, well, you know, since I'm working from home, I don't have to send my kid to daycare. I think that daycare is still more, some of them. But I still think that daycare is still relevant and important, because you still need that interaction with other students.
With other students,
You still, and then other than that, you just got your kids sitting at home while you're working, and there's really nothing for them to do at the crib.
Yeah.
Where at least at a daycare, they're at least able to play with other kids, and interact with other kids, and socialize.
They need that social.
And you guys do field trips and shit.
Right.
So
you know,
I don't give my kid field trips.
We still had to close though. When we opened, we were still closing, because we'll have, I want to say 1 week we didn't have all of our teachers were out with COVID. So we had to close until we had the teachers. Well, we'll have one class where all the kids got COVID. So we had to close that class. So it was,
you know, to be honest though, when you think about it, like, you've been in business for 13 years after being fired, which is embarrassing. But we won't.
I wasn't embarrassed.
We don't have to live down memory lane. We got to do all that. But after being fired and after going through COVID.
He said I was fired. What?
But a lot of businesses did not return. after COVID.
No, they did not. A lot of schools didn't open back up.
Right. You guys were one of the ones. How does that make you feel knowing that you all, as a daycare center on the South Side, all black daycare, still prospered even after something as traumatic as the pandemic?
It was definitely a blessing to be able to return, to be able to have families that still trusted us and they still came back. And my teachers, oh God, that made a difference with a lot of places having to close. They didn't have staff. Yeah. Nobody wanted to come back to work.
Because they were looking for other jobs.
Not that. They were giving, at the time, they were giving the stimulus checks and, giving out the money. And people were like, well, I'm hood rich. I don't have to go back to work. But my staff, was like, Miss Janna, when we're opening back up, we're ready to come back to work. Mm-hmm. I had no issue with staff not coming back to work. So it was definitely a blessing. And then during that time, because we had so much downtime, we were able to get our accreditation process started. So which was a very tedious process, but because the children were, we had time to sit back and kind of unwind to get that process started. And I want to say 2001 we became an accredited program, because that was one of my goals, which I hit 10 years we're going to become an accredited program. So in 20 we were able to start that process. In 21 we finished it, so that was great.
So do you want to tell us exactly how much money you got in your account now?
No. Enough. Okay.
Can I hold $5?
I got 5 quarters.
Dollars. Dollars, not quarters.
Monopoly money.
Yeah. $1.25 is not going to do me any justice. Don't laugh at me.
That is some chips. No, it's not even that anymore. How much? Nope. Soda. Nope.
Can't get nothing.
Burger? No.
What, for $1.25?
For $1.25?
Nothing.
I tried to take a girl out on a date with $1.25. She had the audacity to get mad.
Absolutely. What, in kindergarten? What do you mean?
No,
Where'd you go?
I was 30.
Something wrong. I would have left you.
Yeah.
What, did y'all go, a free?
We went to Olive Garden.
For $1.25?
You had coupons?
No.
That was the tax?
No. I promised her. Here's the deal. I said, listen, you're not with me for the money, right? And she said, I said, cool. I can only afford ketchup and mustard. Let's go to Olive Garden. But I still want the experience of Olive Garden.
They don't even have those condiments at Olive Garden.
You Olive Garden expert.
You should have had a McDonald's.
You should have went to the lunch special.
Yeah.
What lunch special?
Unlimited breadsticks and salad.
It's still more than $1.25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's still more than that?
I'm sure.
But you got to buy a drink or something.
You do have to buy a drink? Well, anyways, I haven't talked to her since then.
Oh, it's her fault. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's weird. She was weird for that. I said, okay, on to the next.
You don't need to take out anybody with $1.25 in your pocket.
Yeah, you should have not went anywhere, nor asked her out.
One time I forgot my wallet on a date. This was before Apple Pay was like a thing. And, and it was funny because she was like, we on the way driving. She was like, every time I go on a date, guys are always like, I forgot my wallet.
Poor thing.
And I was talking cash shit. I was like, yeah, that's because them niggas broken, blah, 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 blah. I was going in. And then she was just like, yeah, I don't know why guys do that. If they're just honest up front, I would just do it. Anyways, we at the restaurant. We eating. We good and eating. And, like with men, like we know our wallet is on us because we feel something in the pocket. This wasn't the wallet, though. This wasn't the feeling I had wasn't the wallet.
So at that point in the car when you're having that conversation, that's when you should have checked.
Yeah.
To make sure.
I know, but it was just that confident. It was that confident thing because I never really had forgot my wallet at the time. I was super confident that I had my wallet. So when
it was time to pay the bill, what happened?
Well, this was before the bill came,
okay.
Right? So that's when I realized the wallet wasn't there. I said, hey, let me go to the bathroom real quick. I'm going to be right back. So I did go to the vehicle to check, and it wasn't in there. And at this point, I'm thinking, I can drive off and she'll never know.
That's horrible. That is so bad. I'd rather you just tell me you don't have a wallet.
Yeah, just say you don't have a wallet.
I was like, it was a thought. It was just a thought. It was a thought. But I definitely was thinking, I'm like, dude, this is embarrassing. She just had this conversation. But I did go back inside. And so I said, you're not going to believe this. And she just looked at me and didn't say nothing.
She already knew.
She said, I was like, I know we just talked about this. I'm like, and I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I just want to start off with explaining it to you. And she said, I say, I forgot my wallet. She said, okay, I can pay for it. It's fine. I said, can you?
You left her with no choice but to pay for it.
You would have had to cash it.
No, I didn't have cash.
You would have had to go get your wallet and get me some cash.
But I did offer this. I said, listen, I'm 10 minutes from the house. I can run and go get my wallet from the crib. It's, I said, if you could just wait here, I'll be back to get my. She said, no, it's fine. Yeah, that's the only other alternative. That's
why I like to drive on first dates. I'm driving my own car.
I'm going by myself. Yeah,
just in case.
Just in case what? So what? So say she had her own car. What, she would have just left?
Yeah. She would wonder where you went when you was checking the vehicle.
Right.
Wait, hold on. Y'all was wrong because I was about to leave her. Okay, so now what am I supposed to do? I have no wallet. You just ate the food and you just up and leave? Who gonna pay for the food?
I would pay for it and I would leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Yeah, in my own car.
No, I was with her. We was in the car. And man, the conversation in the car was very,
I bet it was.
So we was riding in the car, and then I was like, so, did you enjoy your meal?
It's like, are we going to your house to get this wallet?
Are we going to the ATM machine?
No, that I did give her. No, she wouldn't take the money back, honestly. She's like, no, it's fine. I said, I can see this is the setup. Because I was like, listen, we can go to my house real quick and get my wallet. I can give you your money back. She's like, no, we're not going to your house. So just take me home.
She was over it.
Done.
She was over it.
And it sounded like
we just had this conversation about men leaving their wallet.
And it sounded like I was trying to take it back to the house too.
Just so happened to leave your wallet at home.
Yeah.
Right.
It was you're right. Get me home.
It was, but on God, it was such a setup. It just, everything just seemed like it was just a setup. And on God, it was not. It was not a setup. Oh, I thought you were saying poor thing to me.
No.
Oh,
to her.
I was literally.
She dated that I was leaving their wallets.
Like she is triggered by this, and you have the nerve.
I've never
any
left
better.
my wallet ever. That's why this was a thing, and I was super confident that this was not the case. And then I thought about it when I was like, I can go to my crib and just. And I was like, okay, that doesn't sound right. Now it sounds like, okay, this is just. We just bad. Probably not meant to be together.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, this was a clear indication that. So
this now, when she goes on dates, she's gonna be like, "Make sure you bring your wallet.
You got your wallet before you even get in the car."
Have Apple Pay now.
Well, now there's Apple Pay, but that was before.
Your phone with the click thing.
And I had an Android at the time.
That's a problem.
Yeah, she should
still got an Android. Number one problem.
She should have known. Right. Oh my God.
But the thing.
Problem number one, Android.
But here's the crazy thing. I was driving an Audi at the time, a convertible.
And left your wallet. She was so over it. She was like, just take me home.
Just take me home.
But to be fair, she was nice enough to text me one time after the incident.
What'd she say?
She was sweet. I was like, hey, how you doing? She said, hey. And that was about it.
I'm surprised she texted you back.
Yeah. Where'd you guys go out to dinner?
It was, what was this restaurant? It wasn't Olive Garden.
There will be no
Texas
Olive
Longhorn.
Garden.
Texas, okay.
Oh, I like Texas Longhorn.
Yeah,
I like
Texas Longhorn. It was very. I tried to make a joke, but she didn't laugh. I said it was funny how I couldn't even afford ketchup.
She was like, just take me home. I don't want to laugh.
So don't do jokes.
Nah, now we leave your wallet.
But in that situation, what do you do? Like, if the man really forgot his wallet,
you do what she did. Pay for it.
You know what? I think I would be understanding if he really for real lost
But
his
how
wallet.
do you
but
know?
But I think because she's been in that situation before, she was like, yeah, no, I've never had that situation. But because she was in that situation before, previously, she was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
It was a trigger.
Yeah.
I would never forget her face. We're friends on Facebook.
It was a trigger.
When I go on a date, I make sure I have my wallet.
Right.
Like, that's just me.
Well, she had hers.
Right. Like, I make sure. So the fact that you didn't even make sure that you had your wallet is kind of like...
I mean, I was younger, but now, I don't have my wallet now.
No.
Or your phone.
Or my phone, yeah. And I forget things.
So you're regressing.
Yeah, no, it's getting better a little bit though. But that was an embarrassing moment for me.
Absolutely.
And I don't know her name. I don't remember her name. But I know her face when I see her on like Facebook. I'm like, oh, we're friends. I remember her. She don't like say anything or like me on anything, but yeah, me too. Yeah,
it's okay.
It's because I friended her like maybe a year and a half later, and she's like, oh, sure, click.
Right.
But it was a really bad experience. What if it was? You think if it was a white woman, it would have been different? Look at that. Hell nah. Well, the fact that
I know. Like,
I think they would have been a little bit more understanding. Like maybe he really did lose his wallet.
I think some people that may have not ever been in a situation where man forgot their wallet would be understanding. I would be understanding because I've never been through that before.
Yeah. No, so but put yourself through that situation. You've been through that before.
Then I would. It was a trigger. Like my eye twitching. Like
if she's white and she's going over the same conversation with you in the car, I think she would respond the same.
Yeah.
You think so?
With the same issue, the same men don't have wallets.
Yeah, see, the same exact issue. You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But you obviously know I'm not trying to have you pay for. I'm pulling up in an Audi convertible.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Could have been a rental.
Yeah. Or somebody else's car.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So we don't know that.
I felt like she was going to kidnap me.
So you picked her up?
I mean, look at me.
Why would she kidnap you? I'm confused. What?
You got no money.
No phone. No phone. A rented Audi.
I actually had...
rented Audi.
No wallet.
I actually had I had money. I wasn't broke. I just didn't have my wallet. Yeah, that wasn't. And I had cash in it.
But it wasn't that obvious because you didn't have. Oh, you had cash
in the wallet.
But she didn't want to go back to the house.
She didn't want to go back to the wallet.
Over it.
Yeah,
and she wouldn't let me give her the money. So
yeah, it's just a wash.
That's her loss. Damn, it sucks.
Is it?
Oh.
I feel you.
Well, that's our time, everybody, and thank you all for tuning in. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Are you against or for daycare services? And do you think they are a pivotal piece in early child care development? Thank you so much, Janna, for joining the show today. And also thank you for helping us debunk some of the misconceptions surrounding daycare centers. Before we wrap, be sure to follow us and subscribe to our channels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter at I'm Just Here to Listen podcast. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all other streaming platforms, or watch us on YouTube at I'm Just Here to Listen podcast. Subscribe to us on our Patreon to get extended episodes and behind the scene footages. See you all on the next episode. Later. I'm Just Here to Listen podcast is a production of Juming Delmas Studios.